While Kakarot and Raditz remain on Earth, Turles has his own battle out in space with Broly. With the great power they were giving off, Babidi was drawn to them, as he awakened Majin Buu. Luckily for Turles, this wasn't too tough of a battle. He was resilient, but Turles was able to figure out how to defeat Buu, and he might actually have plans for him in the future. And while Buu completely avoided Earth, he did draw somebody else out to Earth, Beerus. The fight with Turles awakened him, and now he wants to know, where is the Super Saiyan God? We'll be seeing all that and more in this part 13 of What If Goku Was Evil. Raditz and Kakarot have no idea how to react. They're terrified of Beerus. But at the same time, if there's some new Super Saiyan form out there that they don't know of, they want to learn it. They don't want Turles and Broly getting that. They need to do whatever they can, whatever they can find in their power to actually obtain this. So they ask Beerus, what does he know about this form? Well, that's why he came here. He knew nothing about it. He wants to see what they know. All he knows is that he has some sort of rival that's supposed to awaken soon, and that rival is going to be a Super Saiyan God. Well, they don't know anything about a Super Saiyan God, but they have their own forms. Maybe one of them is that form. And knowing that they probably shouldn't mess with Beerus, they're not going to play around here. Right from the get-go, they want to show off their full power. Kakarot goes into Supreme Saiyan, while Raditz transforms into Infernal Saiyan. He's actually the stronger of the two, gaining a little bit more control over this form than he had before. Although it still is kind of tough to maintain. Consider how far he jumped into this form, and how much power it holds. While Turles, he kind of eased himself into it. And Beerus is actually surprised. He wasn't aware these two could transform that much. No wonder Kakarot was able to defeat Frieza. And according to Whis, apparently cooler too. Kakarot says he's fought more than just them. They weren't even the strongest battles he's faced. And Beerus is somewhat impressed, but he's not going to be fully impressed until he actually gets to fight them. First he'll fight the one with shiny orange hair, then the one with fiery hair. Kakarot agrees, telling Beerus to witness the power of a Supreme Saiyan. A battle between the two ensues, but it's not really fair to call it a battle. Beerus is dodging every single attack, no matter how quickly Kakarot tries to fight. And while Raditz waits for his turn, some of the humans show up too, sensing them powering up. Immediately they're mortified, mainly Krillin and Yamcha. They see Kakarot fighting some purple alien, and then another guy standing nearby too. And it seems like Kakarot definitely isn't winning, and they can't even sense that guy's power. Raditz tells them they have this under control, briefly explaining who they are. A god of destruction? That just makes things worse. That makes it even more terrifying. Kakarot is then launched back down to the surface, crashing in the dirt nearby as Raditz then powers up. Kakarot stands back up saying he's not done, but Raditz tells him to not piss off Beerus. They don't know what he's capable of. He just wants to do exactly what Beerus says. So with Infernal Saiyan, he launches in. And even though he's stronger, it's still surprisingly the same result. But amidst Raditz's fight, Kakarot flies upwards. He asks Beerus, can they fight him together? And not on this planet. They're kind of limited by fighting here because they don't want to blow it up on accident. Wait, can they survive in space? Interesting. He didn't realize Saiyans were capable of that. Well, not any normal Saiyans, and they clearly aren't normal Saiyans. They actually prefer fighting out there anyways. It gives them way more room to maneuver, and less things to get in their way. The three fly out into space. And before following them, Whis then turns to the other humans. Are they looking to contend against Lord Beerus as well? Nervously, they all back off, not wanting to fight him at all. But Ten steps up and asks, what is Beerus here for? He's looking for his next rival, the Super Saiyan God. As the 2v1 happens in space, Beerus still has no effort at all fighting them. He tells them, for mortals, they are decently strong. Definitely not on his level though. But he sees, they have potential to be way stronger, if this Super Saiyan God even does exist. He wonders if it's a person or a form. And after seeing these two transform, and apparently the fact that these aren't their only forms, he begins to think it might be the latter. Super Saiyan God is a form, possibly something they can get. And that's it. That's what they could wish for. Wait, wish? What do they mean by that? Well, they were seeking out the Dragon Balls, and they wanted to wish for something to help defeat Turles, but they didn't know what to wish for. At the same time, they didn't want to just have power granted to them either. They were probably going to wish for like immortality or something. But this actually makes it way more fun. If they could find the Dragon Balls and wish for a way to actually learn how to get Super Saiyan God, not necessarily have it handed to them, just a way for them to get it. They want to get the knowledge and obtain it for themselves. But there's no Dragon Balls here on Earth. Well, Whis says that there are a few other sets of Dragon Balls. There's Namek, Planet Cereal, and of course the Super Dragon Balls. But the latter seems like a little bit too much for what they're asking for. And Kakarot perks up. Yeah, Cereal. They actually wanted to go back there. They've seen the power that those Dragon Balls can grant. They just don't know how to find the planet. Otherwise they would have flown there themselves. And Whis says that's not a problem, especially because Beerus likes this idea. Well, if it's gonna get him the Super Saiyan God, then so be it. He'll take them wherever they need. Quickly they fly back down to Earth, telling the humans they're gonna leave very quick. They'll be back soon. Ten tells them to be careful. They don't know what they're dealing with. And Kakarot says he's not concerned. Beerus doesn't seem that awful. He's terrifying, but it seems like they're on his good side for now. And who knows, maybe they'll come back with even more power than before. Well, Ten hopes they're right. They've actually had a pretty good time training with the Saiyans here, growing stronger from it too. And Ten did consider asking Kami to make a new set of Dragon Balls, just to ask for the Super Saiyan God to appease Beerus. But this is a better way. This is the least risky option for Earth, letting Kakarot and Raditz go find the Dragon Balls on their own, somewhere out in space. And that'll be a true test of how much they've changed, what they decide to wish for out there. They can prevent a wish down here, but not out in space, at Planet Cereal. Kakarot and Raditz fly back up into space to meet Whis and Beerus again. Chaozu asks, is he really sure about this? Well, Ten says there's not really anything else they could do. And Krillin's fairly optimistic. Those two don't seem too terrible. Yamcha agrees, and Ten says he's actually pretty surprised. After that time they spent with them, it's kinda weird. Kakarot definitely isn't the same person as before, but not in a bad way. It seems like he's actually better. He was so misguided back then, and he definitely is still misguided now. And it's not just from what he saw on Earth, it's from what he heard from Kakarot and Raditz too, the stories they mentioned. They were both out on a conquest before, and now they're mainly just seeking power. And Ten smiles. If they were on that conquest, well, they'd pretty much all be dead by now. Earth would be under their rule and there's nothing they could do about it. The others are terrified at how casually he says this. But Ten says it's the truth. Kakarot definitely has changed. Beerus and Whis take the two Saiyans to planet Cereal, and it doesn't really take too long. They arrive on the planet, and just as they do, Granola jumps out, ready to attack the two new people there. He can't sense their energy, but he saw that giant pillar of light from far away when they landed. And he looks at them, but he sees nowhere to hit them, no vital points. He thinks these are invaders and he's ready to put down his life to fight against them. More people seeking out the Dragon Balls. But then Kakarot and Raditz step out. He drops his guard, standing there nervously. And the second Kakarot sees Granola with his guard up, he flips out, telling Granola to stop. Don't try and attack. He doesn't want to piss off Beerus or Whis. And Granola's surprised. Obviously he doesn't know Kakarot or Raditz too well, but last time he saw them, they weren't nearly this freaked out, especially when facing Lord Slug. And especially once he hears Beerus' title, God of Destruction, he realized this is something he shouldn't mess with. Kakarot tells Granola they're just here for the Dragon Balls, and he doesn't know what to think of this. But Beerus explains himself. He's looking for a rival, a Super Saiyan God of sorts, and those Dragon Balls are the key to helping him find that. Granola doesn't even know what to say. He's terrified. But Raditz reassures him they're not here for anything malicious. They just want to get some knowledge from the dragon, and leave immediately after. And obviously, Granola doesn't even know if they're telling the truth. He barely knows the two of them, but at the same time, it's not like he could really do anything. And if he does decide to attack them right now and lash out against them, well, he's dead either way. He saw a brief glimpse of their power when they landed here, and that's just the two Saiyans, not Beerus or Whis. The fact that he's still alive is proof enough. Reluctantly, he agrees, leading them to Monaido. And Monaido says he doesn't really like this idea, but they might have no choice. And before they make the wish, Monaido does warn them. Whatever they wish for may have consequences. Taranbo's a very powerful dragon, but if the wish is too powerful, he could take something away from them. A bargain of sorts. Weird. They wonder what Lord Slug gave up. Not that it matters though, he's dead anyways. But they'll keep this in mind. The dragon is summoned, and Taranbo is immediately terrified when he sees Beerus. Beerus says not to worry, just grant the stupid wish. Kakarot asks, how can they obtain the Super Saiyan God form? And since Beerus is here, Taranbo's a little lenient and gives them a few options. For one, he could grant them the form. Of course, he might have to compress their lifespan for it. He also says they can perform a ritual for the Super Saiyan God, explaining that they'll need 4 more Saiyans to do so, and they're gonna have to be righteous Saiyans too. Not only do they not have enough Saiyans, but they definitely don't have any righteous ones. But there is a third option. They could obtain it on their own, by getting access to God Ki somehow, and training to harness that. But how are they supposed to get Godly Ki? Taranbo says it'll take a lot of time. But there is something he can do, infuse them with Godly Ki. But there is a condition though. He'll need someone to grant it to them. This way it'll give them a jump start. And even though they would rather train for it on their own, they don't know if that'll even work. And Beerus wants to see this form now, so he tells them to go with this wish. And even though that first wish is enticing to Beerus, he can't go with that. What if their lives are compressed too much, and the Super Saiyan God dies shortly after being born? He tells Taranbo he'll grant a small amount of his Godly Ki, and if the dragon can infuse that Ki within them, then so be it. In his hands, he creates a small orb of energy, but the energy contained in this orb is massive. It's a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of Beerus' power, but it's still a significant amount, and it's pure Godly Ki. Taranbo nervously accepts this, and he confirms the wish with the two Saiyans. Kakarot and Raditz agree. But before the wish is made, Granola interrupts. He sees an opportunity here. He apologizes to Beerus, but he asks. He wants to be granted Godly Ki too. Monaido is surprised by this. Why? What does he need that for? Does he still want that stupid revenge that he's after? I mean, Frieza and Cooler are dead anyways. But Granola says it's not that. He needs to be able to protect this planet. After seeing how powerful these two have gotten, and that last encounter with Lord Slug, Granola thinks he might not be able to protect this planet if it comes to it. And besides, he knows there's others out there. He sensed Turles and Broly. He knows there's still people out there trying to dominate the universe. He needs to protect against them somehow. And Beerus is curious. Is he even strong to begin with? And Kakarot and Raditz actually vouch for him surprisingly. A while back, they fought together. They saw Granola's power. He's strong. It could potentially grow even stronger. Raditz remembers too. The Cerealians have some pretty unique abilities. Hearing about the time the Saiyans invaded this planet, but only having vague knowledge of it, Granola says this is true. And this actually makes Beerus pretty curious. Well, normally he wouldn't be this gracious, but they are intruding on his planet after all. And really, he should destroy Granola right now for even stepping up to them. But the potential of another strong rival, Beerus isn't really going to turn that down, especially if Kakarot and Raditz are vouching for it. If these mortals are saying that other mortal is strong by mortal standards, well, sure, why not go for it? Consider this compensation for using Taranbo as well. The wish is granted, with the power being split amongst the three. God Ki is infused into Kakarot, Raditz, and Granola. And at first, The three don't really feel much of a change, but they try tapping into that godly ki. There's an immense reserve of power in there. Their base alone is incredibly powerful compared to where it was before. And that was just a small amount of Beerus' ki, divided amongst the three of them. And Monito's amazed too. He can't even sense the power, but still. He's just glad that Granola wasn't wishing for that just so he can get revenge on somebody. But Granola assures Monito, it's fine. Well, now that they have this godly ki, they need to train for the Super Saiyan God. They know it exists at least. It's a form they need to work towards, so Beerus says they're gonna come to his planet. No ifs, ands, or buts. He's gonna whip them into shape, because they decided to take this route too. He's already a bit annoyed that they didn't just ask for the form as is. But he knew it wasn't necessarily an ideal wish. And while he's at it, he turns to Granola too. He's not too sure how strong a Cerulean can grow. Whis says they have some pretty strong potential. They were formidable opponents for Saiyans a long time ago too, and look how strong these Saiyans have grown. Although Whis doesn't really have a clue because Granola's really the only Cerulean left. And beyond that, he's the strongest to ever have existed. So it will be kind of a gamble. Beerus says since he did want to intrude on the wish, he's gonna have to come to their planet too. At first he's shocked to hear this, but he obliges. This will actually be good for him. What's the point of getting this ki if he can't learn to hone it? He needs to grow as a Cerulean somehow, especially seeing all these threats out there. If Turles ever were to come to his planet, and Kakarot and Raditz weren't around to help him, he's gonna need a way to defend against it himself. He says goodbye to Monito, as he heads off with the two other Saiyans. Kakarot and Raditz are pretty surprised that it turned out this way too. This is great, it's another training partner for them. And yeah, Granola wasn't near their level of power before, but he was still pretty strong for a random mortal that they found out in space. They even laugh at this. Look at them, they're already calling other people mortals. They just were mortals a few minutes ago. And now everyone has a new task, learning to control godly ki. Granola's not too sure where it'll take him, but Beerus jokes around. Maybe there's a Super Cerulean God too. And he nervously laughs, but then he's terrified because he realizes Beerus probably thinks he has transformations beyond his current state right now. He doesn't know if they even exist. And he has no clue how to tell Beerus about this. Oh crap, what did he get himself into? Months pass as they start training on this planet, and the entire time, Beerus wonders, what about those other Saiyans out there? These two, they seem pretty adamant for Beerus to not seek out those other two Saiyans. And he asks Whis, can he look into them a bit? And Whis says he could definitely do so. It seems they didn't want Beerus to seek him out because they had some sort of grudge between them. Maybe Kakarot and Raditz didn't want the other Saiyans to get the Super Saiyan God power. They wanted it for themselves. And Beerus says that kinda does make sense. But after hearing about how strong those other two are, well, they're around the level of Kakarot and Raditz. Apparently that one Saiyan, Broly, doesn't really know how to control his power, with Whis showing Beerus the fight against Majin Buu. But Beerus is curious, seeing Turles fight against Buu. He seems quite strong. He has that same form that Raditz has and can actually control it better. But at the same time he sees, Turles is too much of a loose cannon. And Whis is surprised that Beerus says this. Beerus is kind of a loose cannon too. Beerus tells him to shut up. He's saying that because he's not sure of what Turles would even do with that power. Not that he's scared of it. Turles will still be far below him, even if he became a Super Saiyan God. But long term, he plans for these two Saiyans to become his rivals, and not just that, potentially becoming the next God of Destruction. And who knows, if Turles were a God of Destruction, he'd take his job way too seriously possible, destroying everything just for the fun of it. Whis butts in again. Doesn't Beerus do the same as well? Beerus tells him to shut up again. He's just cranky from waking up from his nap. And even if he does destroy things at random at some points, it's not anything in comparison to what he thinks Turles would do with that power. The whole universe would be gone. Universe 7 wouldn't exist anymore. Hell, he might even find a way to drain the power from the universe itself, seeing as he's first started with planets and is now up to stars. But either way, it's not too important to think on. For now, he has his two rivals and that's all he needs. Especially because after these few months, they've all made progress, growing significantly stronger. But one day, there's a breakthrough. Kakarot and Raditz look at Beerus. They've done it. They've obtained the form Super Saiyan God. And Beerus can't believe what he's hearing. Well, what are they waiting for? Show him already. He's waited so long for this. Hair's already pissed off that he couldn't find it immediately, but now, they have no reason to hold it from him any longer. And the two stand alongside each other. They're surrounded by a fiery aura, and Granola watches on amazed. Their vital points, they're completely gone. Their ki has changed significantly, even compared to that godly ki they just had beforehand. And it's not an explosive transformation like they have with their other forms. They're simply coated by the aura, and calmly, the aura dissipates, with the two Saiyans standing there, now with red hair, looking slimmer and younger, with a divine ki surrounding them. And Beerus says, this is definitely it. This is the power of a Super Saiyan God. The two stand there, immediately ready to test it out, and Beerus is elated. Finally, his wait is over. But unfortunately, you guys are gonna have to wait a little bit longer because this is where we'll leave off for now. What'd you think about this part? What's gonna happen next time? Let me know any thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already, especially if you want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thanks for watching and I'll see you all in my next video.